my friend. So was I.
The idea was very risible, and it could be very controversial with fans, but you know, being diehard fans ourselves, but you know, my brother and I were very excited to tell this story. You know, I think there's been a number of these movies now, and they've been great stories, but the prospect of placing the central conflict of one of these movies between these characters themselves that we've come to know over several films, these characters we've come to love, it felt like a very challenging place to go on a storytelling level, and therefore like very exciting as well. So, you know, high risk, high reward, hopefully, and that's why we went for this story in the end.
In terms of the Avengers going at each other, I got to see it from more of an objective perspective because I'm not within that battle, and I have to say it's really strange to watch as a fan of these movies. It's hard to see, you know, these characters that you love so much at odds with each other. But it was really beautifully done. The Russo brothers do such an incredible job of balancing these films, and you really do struggle with which side you're on. I mean, I still, to this day, having seen the movie a couple times now, I still struggle with, you know, with really strongly picking a team, as Emily. I mean, Sharon's a little bit different, but I just think that everyone did a great job with it, so it was really cool to be a part of it.
Captain, you seem a little defensive. Well, it's been a long day.
I think I'm probably one of the 3 or 5 best Tony Starks that have been in the movies. It's interesting too. I was kind of getting caught up in what Anthony was saying, because like I want to like talk to Emily and say, so is there a romance blossoming between you and the captain? And like people ask me those questions, I go, I don't know. What do you know? I'm not dictating to the you know, the board at Marvel what my character will and won't do. But there's this sensitivity and there's this kind of interplay at this point where you don't really have to say, oh, I wouldn't do that, because most of the time it's being thought of on your behalf. Right, Don?
Correct.
Correct.
What do we do?
We fight.
It starts with a conversation, like, is it more interesting to have the roles reversed a little bit, where Tony's saying, hold on now, you know, because Tony was telling senators to kiss his ass a couple movies back and they wouldn't have anything to do with the government, so, you know, and then also for Cap, having him kind of be a little bit rogue and making these decisions based on things that you could say go against his own principle. I think just showing that taking these characters that you could say are largely two-dimensional and infusing them with a real kind of character defects and moral dilemmas and all that stuff, it just makes it, I think if we had done it the other way, the film would be less interesting. So sometimes the reason we can justify, why did Tony do that? Because it made the film more interesting, you know? Yeah. Marvel equals modern mythology plus money.
They're coming for you.
I'm not the one that needs to watch their back.
Work hard, eat your broccoli, do sit-ups.
Get an internship with Kevin Feige.
That's right. That's it. Meet Kevin Feige however you can, and do whatever he asks you to do.
I know somebody says when they were a kid, they say, when I grow up, I want to be a dinosaur. You know what? Work hard. Change your DNA.
This doesn't have to end in a fight, Tony. You just started a war.
Well, the good thing is that contractually, I'm finished with these by the time I'm 65, so I think just one more course of steroids and then I'll be just fine.
Don and I talk about this too, because you know, there's this inevitable thing that happens. You're in your early 40s, and then you're in your mid 40s, and then all of a sudden you're looking at the back nine, and a couple, I think on Iron Man 3, Don was like, going, I got more action moves. And I was like, I know, me too. And the clock starts to tick on that a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And particularly when you're surrounded now with like much, thanks Emily, she's, you get a lot of young folks around you, and I think it's really good. You start, just this morning I was thinking, my God, dude, like this is going to run its course in a minute here.
But revenge, I think that's an interesting theme in this movie, and that several characters are dealing with it. And they have to come to grips with the consuming nature of that emotion and how that can throw you off of definitely throw you off of your line. And I just thought it's so front-loaded, the movie is so front-loaded with that, and then it just comes to like this shocking point at the end where 3 characters are dealing with that manifestation. And I just think it was really a real deft way of writing that in.
Stay down. Final warning. I could do this all day.
Okay, let's say this. It was critically important. My brother and I always believed the best version of the movie was the version where you get to the end of the film and you would not know who to side with. That both Tony and Steve were a little right and a little wrong. And you could equally relate to both. It was really important to us because I think, look, we've seen these characters develop now over several films. You know who Tony Stark is. You know who Steve Rogers is. You know they're not villains. They're not going to all of a sudden lose their minds and go insane unless they were mind controlled or some extraordinary circumstances that may take us another movie or 2 to develop. These are well-rounded people. So to get them into the point where they are going to fight each other to that degree, where their relationship may become irreconcilable, it's a very sensitive process to take them through.
On the roof!
Hey everyone.